What is going on, everybody? If you're watching this, I want to thank you. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. But this is a continuation of my five films I think are underappreciated, undervalued, and underseen within the horror community. So these are five more films. I'm thinking about doing maybe some horror directors who I think are underappreciated. Maybe go into that, go into some other things as well. But for now, at least today, we're going to do our five top films that at least five films. I'll say top, but five films I think are underappreciated, underseen within the community. But like I always say, I don't like to make things that are simple, overly complicated. Um, the world will do that enough to you. Let's not do that here. So let's jump right into it. My first movie is a movie I talked about this director on my other videos, Richard Stanley. It was a anthology film actually that he did one of the shorts in, and so this is the only other movie. Oh no, that's not true. I also have The Color Out of Space, which I think is just a great movie as well. But this is one of his earlier films, and it's Hardware. Now, this movie about a guy, and it's like a post-apocalyptic dystopian type future, and his girlfriend is a artist, and she takes like spare parts and makes like art with them, and so he finds like this decommissioned um, and android, and so he brings it to her for her art project, and she paints it, does it up, does her thing as an artist. But then when it comes back online, um, it is Mark 13, and is actually is um, it starts off with a verse from the Bible, Mark 13, which is pretty badass. And I don't remember the exact quote, but it's something about like they'll peel the flesh off of you, or how the Bible is. It's you know graphic, and about death and destruction, which is why I can say that. Anyway, so yeah, so this robot comes to life and it starts killing people, and it's a simplistic setup and premise, but it's done so well. The atmosphere, the aesthetics, everything in this movie is so well done. It is so um just it's beautiful, but it's at the same time it's gross and sticky, and I don't know. It's this great little film where, and we don't get too many really great killer robot films. So, and this has brief cameos from Iggy Pop, of course Lemmy from Motorhead. Um, so this is just a really unique, morbidly beautiful film that is just amazing. And like I said, the robot has such a great design. I love the design of the robot in this, and just the carnage he inflicts is just super badass. This is it's a great film, and so I can't um I can't recommend it enough. Richard Stanley, Hardware. The next movie is one that I really love. And funny enough, it's a sci fi film, old school sci fi, when it was SYFY. back in the day sci-fi, and this was a really really um, under slept on film, and that's Abominable. Abominable is a film that I think is one of the better creature features, particularly one of the better Bigfoot movies um, that you can come across. And there aren't a lot of them. I mean, The Legend of Boggy Creek, of course. Um, there was well, I'm drawing a blank. The one that was from the Blair Witch director exists, which is found footage, but still pretty good. But I mean, it's on a short list, and this is so good. And just, I mean, it has some really cool cameos. Um, it has cameos with Jeffrey Combs, Lance Henriksen, Dee Wallace. So, it's really um, there's a really good, it's like almost a rear window type of um, knockoff, because essentially this guy, he was a outdoorsman, loved doing climbing mountains. He has an accident where he becomes paralyzed, so he's confined to a wheelchair, but he lives in the woods because that's where he loves the outdoors. And this place next to him, these college girls come to have a party and hang out, and he kind of watching them, lamenting the fact that he is this now wheelchair bound guy, and he starts to see the Bigfoot creature come and just pick him off one by one. And it's so cool how he tries to help him and warn him. And it's a really well done movie. And like I said, the creature effects in it, for being so low budget, and I think it's maybe early 2000s. But I mean, the effects, the look of um the creature is actually really good. I mean, it doesn't look cheap or anything. It's actually a pretty awesome creature design. So, I mean, like I said, for a creature feature, Bigfoot, cryptid type film, this is definitely one of the better ones out there. This next one, a lot of people say, "Oh, this is the scariest movie I've ever seen," and the movie's so scary. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend or try to say I've seen every movie there is. I've compared to some other people. I mean, I'm basically seen nothing at all, but I've seen my fair share, and this movie was particularly unsettling and terrifying, and that is The Dark and the Wicked. Um, Essentially, these two brother and sister, they go back home to the parents' house. The dad's in hospice, and their mom is overwhelmed. And by the time they get there, she tells them, "You should never came here." And so, a couple days later, she winds up ending herself. And in doing that, it just sets off this chain of events where these weird, just bizarre things start happening. And just to see the unsettling things that occur, to see how they're basically haunted and terrorized through this nefarious entity is really, it's really unsettling. Just the things that happen are just really, yeah, it's one it truly is one of the scarier movies I've ever seen. Um and how it uses people to bring down your, to bring down their guard, and to essentially come at them at a way where they weren't really expecting it. And you, as an audience, you're not expecting it either. So it's effective not only for the characters within the film, but effective for us too, because our guard is down. We don't think it's going to happen. We don't think that a certain character is going to be um, this evil entity, but it is. And when it happens, it's like, oh shit, that's not who we think it is. So I can't stress this movie is really good, really scary. And if you're looking for a film, no, and I say that, but let me also acknowledge this: horror movies are subjective. What scares one person may not scare another. Like, I'll give you a prime example. I knew someone, and people my age will remember this, the Jeff Daniels film Arachnophobia. It's actually a Disney movie. Now, I think it was produced through one of their sister companies, but at the end of the day, it's a Disney movie. Most of us would be like, that movie is even remotely, not even within the vicinity of being scary. Like, if you talk about it from like geographical sense, it'd be like, if Scary's in um, New York, that movie's in like Thailand. Like, it's in a whole nother part of the world, a whole nother region, a whole nother um, uh, like as far as away from it as you can possibly get. But I knew someone who literally could not watch that movie. Like, physically, they would get sick. They were so terrified of it because they had such intense arachnophobia. Now, that's more of a severe case. But the point is, what one person finds scary, when one person finds terrifying, The Exorcist to me still gets under my skin, because there's a saying: once a Catholic, always a Catholic. And I may not hold those beliefs anymore, but that teaching is still in me, and that movie still gets to me as someone who was brought up Catholic as a kid. So we all have different fears. Some people don't are not affected by paranormal movies. They dismiss it. They may enjoy it, but it doesn't scare them. But if paranormal or demon or possession films do get under your skin, or do scare you, I can't imagine this one not doing that. This was a very well made and terrifying film. But The Dark and the Wicked. Next is a movie I really like. I actually didn't see this for a while. Kind of avoided it. I finally watched it, and I was so glad I did. That is Hellfest. Now this one, um, if you like haunts, so if you like, one of the most popular ones, of course, is Halloween Horror Nights by Universal Studios. Of course, you have so many ones around the country that are, specific to that geographical region. I mean, you got haunts in Texas and Florida and New York and all these different places that um, uh, unless you're really from there, you don't really know about. Some of them are kind of well known, but for the most part, you know what I mean. But if you're a fan of this haunts and scary houses and things of that nature, this movie will be like heaven to you. This movie is really takes, and not just the haunted houses, but like the whole experience. And it's super fun. The killer's super, I think, creepy. I wouldn't say scary, but he's creepy. Um, And the ending I think was really good. So mild, well, I'll say not mild, definitely a spoiler alert. So at the end, the killer gets away, and you see him come home. He's creeping behind this little girl sitting on the couch, and you're like, "Oh my God, are they really gonna kill a kid?" And she turns around, she looks at the killer. And again, big spoiler alert. So skip ahead or go watch the movie first. But she turns around, and she says, "Daddy," and you're like, "What the fuck?" Like, definitely weren't expecting that. And I thought it was just so clever that it's just some ordinary guy. And that's his thing, is to go around during these haunts and just kill people. And that probably every other day of the year, he's just a normal 9 to 5 working guy. But um, the late Tony Todd is in this very, very briefly. He's maybe, I mean, if I say 5 minutes, I think I'm being too much, but I mean, no more than that, like 5 minutes tops. But to see him is good. I mean, listen, whether it's 5 minutes or 5 seconds of Tony Todd, um, I don't ever miss the opportunity to see a movie with him in it. He's such an amazing on-screen presence and one of the best actors, particularly in the horror genre that we ever had. I'm such a fan of Tony Todd's, so seeing him even for that short time is good. But it's a really effective slasher. It really is, and it brings that Halloween haunted house vibe with it. It's amazing. It's worth it. It's worth every second. Great film. This last one is one I love. This has been one of my favorite movies for such a long time, and that's From Hell with Johnny Depp and Heather Graham. Now, when I first watched this, I was actually really young. When did this come out? 2000 and what? 4 or 5 maybe. 2001, was it that? Wow, I didn't realize it was that even that long ago. I was 12 at the time, I think, around 12. And Amazing is 12, 13 years old. And I had no idea it was a graphic novel before that. I had no clue. I remember watching it and thinking, damn, this is a good movie. I thought it was so cool how they did their interpretation of what the Jack the Ripper murders were about. Johnny Depp's presence in this film, he steals it. Obviously, he's Johnny Depp. Of course, he steals the show, but just him being on. But this is a very different role for him. He plays a inspector who's investigating the murders, and Heather Graham plays, a sex worker, and it's her friends are being picked off. But the reason why is so ingenious, so clever. And the Hughes brothers, and if you recognize that name, they were the ones that did Menace to Society, the classic film. And obviously, this is a big, different, they're very different from that film. Very different indeed, but they pulled it off. The film is so well shot. It is so well acted. The story is so engaging, and the chemistry between Depp and Heather Graham is amazing. Um, it's honestly one of my favorite movies, and I love the I love everything about it. This is just a movie I can rewatch over and over again. I love the story. I love where it goes. I love the reasoning and the not I want to say justification, but the killer's justification, put it that way, for doing what he did. How he rationalized it, and it was so clever and just a strong film. And you really get the gritty, grimy, just way that the less than um, upper class streets of London felt. The real, like, just grimier parts of London in the streets, how they would feel back then. And the crime scenes post um, death are just so hauntingly just graphic, and not only in visually but how they describe it as they're going through and describing what happened, and what took place. I mean, it's haunting, to say the least. But I mean, just the whole entire cast in this film is amazing. They all do a great job, and it's such a underappreciated, um, I think, movie in how it takes an historical event like the Jack the Ripper killers and gives it this obviously fictitious um, story behind it. But I think the story works. I think it makes sense, and I think it's really well done, and it's really well thought out on how they describe why it happened. But From Hell, one of Johnny Depp's best performances. He's a great actor, obviously, but this one in particular, I think one of his better films. Anyway, those are my five for today. Um, all of them are really great. All of them are, I think, really solid films in their respective genres. Um, I got a pretty good variation today. I mean, you got Hardware, which is a, like I said, killer robot movie. On 20, outside of Terminator, on 20, great one of those. Abominable, which is a cryptid creature feature. Dark and the Wicked was more of a um, paranormal possession film. Hellfest, which is just a slasher. And From Hell, which is like a period piece serial killer film. So all these are great. All these are worth picking up. Definitely all of them are worth at least watching. But same as always, I love to hear if anyone else watched these films. They liked it, they enjoyed it, what they enjoyed about it. So definitely, check these out. They're all really strong, really great films. Um, all of them are worth watching, and all of them are really, I think, in their own right, masterpieces in their respected subgenres. Because, like I said, you don't get a lot of period piece serial killer movies. You don't get a lot of slashers that are this, using something like the haunted house, um, or like a Halloween type of theme park backdrop as its, um, as a setting. And I think that was so. It made me think, why nobody's thought of that sooner? It was so well made, and it really utilized that so extremely well. The Dark and Wicked may be one of the best possession / paranormal films I've ever seen, certainly in the modern day. And Abominable is just a great creature feature, especially the like cryptid creature features. Um, you would be hard pressed to find a lot that are better than Abominable. And of course, Hardware just, I just love killer robots because to me that's I don't say realistic, but if any movie monster that I think could possibly become a reality, it's not vampires, it's not werewolves, not zombies. And if you take out, you know, animals, so Jaws, backcountry, bears, birds, or anything like that, and actual animal, the most I would say likely movie monster to ever really happen is a killer robot, especially now with the AI and all these, you know, robots that are being made to help. And I think I read somewhere that within the next 20, 30 years, they expect a robot to be basically in every household. iRobot showed us how that turns out. So, I'm not saying it will happen. I'm just saying the, the chance is there. But in any case, thank you guys for watching. I hope um, you enjoyed it. And I hope that you check out these movies if you haven't already. And until next time, be safe.